your other post you had, what would you do with 50 Bitcoin?
Yeah, so Siggy asked this question. It was the sixth top story. And so you were gifted 100 Bitcoin. So you have 50 Bitcoin for yourself, which he says you can keep it, do what you want with it. But the other 50, you don't have any need for that. So what would you do with it maybe in like a charitable fashion? And so a bunch of people chime in and answer, and I thought we had some good answers in here. It is hard. It's much harder than you think to disperse money.
This is the top comment. You ready for the top comment? Yeah?
Sure.
Or you want to share something? Did you want to share something before I read the top comment?
I don't have anything to share.
The top comment was from the commenter. I'm ready for this one. I haven't read this yet. He says, this is really hard to lay out fully as a gift. Like that would literally change one's life. This reply is going to be a bit long, so hold on. I think it's important to note that I believe that deep down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin, we are all looking for ways to constantly provide value to others through either exchanging our Bitcoin with people or providing value to others in exchange for their Bitcoin. Either way, this concept of HODL slowly fades to do the anthropic characteristic of the network. Okay, I would instantly inform my boss that I would be quitting as soon as they could find a replacement for me. Second, I would then begin the process of setting up a nonprofit organization that's first focus would be to purchase apartment buildings and immediately transform them to run my version of Bitcoin, which is everyone pays a split amount of Bitcoin fiat, and the fiat is paid equal to fiat needs of property, and the Bitcoin is paid is equal to the profit that the property would otherwise realize. The Bitcoin would then become the reserve account for the property after it would first work as an incentive for the residents that paid it. The incentive would be a 50-50 split. Okay, I'm not going to read that because it's in quotation. The groundwork for this would be all come out of my 50 Bitcoin, and the nonprofit would be a recipient of the other 50 Bitcoin. My hope would be that the donors would allow me to purchase properties for cash. I'm not going to read that. It's in quotations again. The flywheel of the sustainability first becomes recognized locally as a good idea, then goes from there. Before you know it, our housing crisis is over. I know this seems like a lot, but it's happening already with my little property. But once I get it set up, it would be a nonprofit and just start giving out rent discounts for my fiat paying residents. They would be incentivized to pay in Bitcoin in order, or at least that's what I would be doing. So it sounds like he wants to turn this into like a flipping. He would flip his 50 Bitcoin to get more Bitcoin, and then it would reproduce more Bitcoin over time in the next 10 years. Siggy said that's a great answer. I really like your real estate slant. Because of you, I just attempted to rent out a not so fancy little trailer park home in Florida for Bitcoin. I offered a 10% discount for payment in Bitcoin. I got no bites. I even attempted to convince some people that I would be really easy if they wanted to use Cash App. It didn't work. They all thought I was scamming them.
Oh, that makes sense.
Siggy should just try like using Zaprite, see if that works. Give them the option, but like in a subtle way.
Oh, yeah, but I think the idea is to maybe only accept Bitcoin. That would be the real move that you probably want. I think that's what the commenter does.
Discipline says, man, I remember having a dream that I had been gifted 4 Bitcoin, and it caused me to panic about my security setup. I'm sure the first thing I'd spend all my time on is a storage situation I was comfortable with for that quantity. Gray Ruby said, not sure, but 1 Bitcoin would hit the rewards pool today.
That's way too much.
Elvis Mercury said, I tried to get at this a few times too. Usually what would Sailor could do. Nothing else. 0x Bitcoiner said, no doubt I'd buy a small farm. EK he wrote me into this post because I really don't like talking about this kind of stuff. I think it's just kind of pointless, you know?
What, getting rich?
No, just like talking about pontificating about like, oh, what if you had $1 million, or what if you like, you know, could fly a
You don't like hypotheticals?
Yeah, I don't like this type of stuff. EK wrote me and he goes, well, CC Car. I said I would take 2 to 3 Bitcoin to purchase our own space.
Where would you put it?
I think we would all have to decide where we would put it.
I see.
And then I said, other than that, I said 50 is an insanely amount of Bitcoin, and I would not give it to one entity to distribute. Would not recommend that. And then I said, if you had 50, I would direct you towards startups, builders inside of Pleb Lab to directly invest in them. Yeah. That's what I said. Sponsor a small school. Other people said retire, live the life I want to live. Yeah, other people said stuff like that. What would you do with it, Keyan?
50 Bitcoin? I think I'd have to think about it a lot. I haven't done this hypothetical. I mean, I think I'm doing it already to some extent. This is what I try to help myself build the thing that I want to build that I'm currently working on. I don't know how much money can affect that, because it's just so much of it is figuring it out. But yeah, I think